Imagine the dashboard on your car, right? The dashboard, the little odometer and the RPMs and the speed. So you and I probably have very similar cars, and there's a simple dashboard on it. Now, think about the dashboard and the dashboards around a Formula One car. Now, a Formula One car is a high performance car. So the driver and the team, they'd be looking at a whole different set of metrics, right? Well, your SaaS business is kind of like that. It's a high performance machine. And if you're gonna be growing your SaaS business faster, if you're gonna be accelerating the growth of your SaaS business, then you need to start thinking about some pro metrics you need to track beyond the simple metrics that you may already be tracking. So in this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 metrics that you absolutely need to be tracking in your SaaS business so that you can accelerate the growth of your SaaS business and actually get to that next stage of growth. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this community, if you're already part of my SaaS coaching programs, welcome back, my people. It's so great to see you over here. I remember when I was scaling ToutApp, we hired our first BizOps leader. He was, I think, senior director of BizOps, and we hired him, and he came to me and said, okay, cool, I'm responsible for the core metrics around the business operations. We're gonna streamline everything. Here's some metrics that we should actually start tracking. And I'm an engineer, I was a solo founder. We already got to millions of ARR in revenues, but the metrics he showed me, I hadn't thought to track. We had a bunch of standard metrics for our SaaS business, but some of these we weren't looking at. And it completely opened my eyes on exactly what a high performing SaaS business to actually go faster looks at, what metrics you look at, especially as you start to bring on experienced team members, there are multiple people that are involved. And so I learned in sort of a hard way that, there's a lot more advanced metrics that we should start thinking about. Now, the crazy thing was, those metrics weren't specific to our stage. Meaning, if I knew about those metrics even earlier on and I started tracking them, I actually think we would have grown faster. I would have made better strategic decisions. And this is why it's so important to understand that every SaaS business is a very sophisticated machine, and you need to instrument it in the right way so you can make the right growth and strategic decisions. So I'm gonna dig into the 3 metrics that you absolutely need to be tracking, and that way you can also scale your SaaS business faster. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button, and let's go to metric number 1. Metric number 1 is my all-time favorite, and I've mentioned in prior videos, so you may have seen, is revenue per lead. What we're really looking to do is ultimately the lifeline of a business, true lifeline of a business. The true growth potential of a business depends on the quality of the pipeline. If you don't have pipeline, you will never hit your number, regardless of whether you're sales driven or product led, whatever it may be. Ultimately, leads, pipeline, trial users, that is the lifeblood of every business. And what happens a lot of times is you may start to spend more money on different things, and you may say we're getting more leads, but you may still not be hitting your number. And a lot of times it becomes a pipeline quality problem. And so what I like to always look at quarter over quarter, month over month, is what is our revenue per lead? Meaning for every lead that was generated, compare that to the total revenue generated, and just look at that ratio and whether it's going up or down. This means that if you were to be spinning up some new marketing programs, say an SDR program, you can start to measure, is your revenue per lead going up period over period, or is it going down? If it's going down, that means the quality of the leads coming in are actually lower. And you may want to think about, well, should we be spending more on leads if the quality is not as good? But if it's going up, then all of a sudden you're starting to say, our leads are good, they're great quality, and we can actually juice them. And so let's figure out how to actually just put more money into it. So principle number 1 is just looking at this ratio around revenue per lead. And over time, it'll help you determine what the quality of your pipeline is and what the quality of the leads that are coming in is. Super, super powerful. Kind of simple, but makes a huge difference in understanding the overall mechanics of your business and the quality of the pipeline you are generating. once you start to understand, like, okay, that's the pipeline, right? Like the pipeline piece, is that working well? As you move down, regardless of whether you're sales driven or product driven, there's a certain process you're following to convert these leads or these trial users to actual customers. And these customers need to stay for a while. And by this point, in this middle to the bottom end of your SaaS business, you're really trying to understand, like, do we have an efficient process? And are we actually going to be profitable with our customers at some point? And so this is where the second metric comes in really handy. This second metric is your LTV to CAC ratio. Your LTV to CAC ratio essentially looks at how much did you spend to get a set of revenue over a period of time, and what is the lifetime value of that revenue shaping up to be. This is super important because what it does is it compares in a very raw way. It cuts out all the crap and says, look, how much did you spend to get a customer, and how much did that customer make you? And as long as that customer is making you more than you spent to get that customer, the lifetime value is higher than the cost to acquire that customer, then you've got a good business. And by the way, this is important whether you're venture-backed or bootstrapped. This is important because investors will look at this, acquirers will look at this, and if it's just you and you're completely bootstrapped, your bank account is basically going to look at this. And so this is super important because it helps you understand how efficient is your go-to-market motion and your go-to-market strategy. Whether you're using salespeople to convert or you're using your product to convert, it'll help you understand how efficient is that machine. Are you getting in people at the right price, and are you converting them, and are they staying? There's a lot to be talked about around LTV to CAC, what to do with it. A good benchmark for this is 3x. 3x is considered good. If you're lower than 3x, then you need to do a certain number of things for your business. If you're higher than 3x, then you need to do something else. So this topic and this metric is so important. I actually did an entire video on this. So if you want to dig more into your CAC to LTV, your LTV to CAC, and think about how to measure it and actually make decisions on what to do based on the number you get, go watch this video. In this video, I go in depth into your LTV to CAC ratio and exactly how to calculate it and how to think about it and how to make decisions around it. No, you don't have to go right now because I have a third principle for you that I want to walk you through. So I'll link to it below and you can go to it later. Now, before I go to principle number 3, let me just pause here for a second. Are you starting to see the power in these pro metrics? These pro metrics, like, look, there's the standard stuff around what's our win rate and how many leads are we getting? You may be looking at that already, and that's great, and you should continue to do that. But if you start to look at some of these combination metrics, these ratios, you start to look at your SaaS business as a Formula One car, as a high-performing machine, and you start to drive the growth of it as a high-performing machine. If you're starting to see the power in this, can I just get a yes in the chat below? Also, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really likes it when you do that. I don't know why, but it really likes it, so smash that like button if you haven't already. Also, comment below with questions, feedback, thoughts. I look at every single one. We respond to every single one. My team helps me respond, but the ones that are really interesting, they tee it up for me. They assign an Asana task, and I go in and respond to them. So seriously, please just comment below. It means the world to us. We love hearing from you. Also, if you're in that stage where you're figuring out, well, how do I grow my business? What is like my one-page growth strategy? This is something that every founder should have. You should definitely check out my 5-point SaaS growth strategy guide. I will link to it below along with the other video that I mentioned, but let's go to principle number 3 because this is super important. So we've started with what's the quality of the pipeline? Then we worked downward and said, well, how efficient are we at converting that pipeline, right? And are we getting good customers, and are we converting in a net profitable way? The third one at the bottom of the pipeline, remember, we run SaaS businesses, software as a service. And this only works, the growth truly happens if you are able to retain your customers, if your customers are happy. Now, you're probably obsessing over churn already. That's probably one of the simple metrics that you already look at. But here's the thing, churn is something that you know about once it already has happened, and it's probably too late to get the customer back. So the third metric you should be measuring on a quarterly basis is your NPS score. Your NPS score, Net Promoter Score. It's super simple. Basically, you've probably seen this already. You need to do a little pop-up or do a little survey and start asking your customers, hey, how likely, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend this product that you're using or this service you're using to another friend? And on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being highly likely, 1 being like, you guys are terrible, I'm totally gonna churn. In fact, I'm gonna churn right now. Once you start measuring NPS, what it ends up being is an early warning detection system on your churn. And that means that you can start to look at which customers are unhappy, are not likely to recommend, and figure out how to enable them in a better way so you can prevent that churn. And that's also part of that growth, because if you don't keep that revenue, your MRR base, monthly recurring revenue, or your annual recurring revenue base is never gonna grow, because you'll keep adding more people, but more people will leave, and so you'll be stagnant, and you don't want that. So NPS is super powerful. Now, there's a whole formula around NPS, and I encourage you to dig into it. We haven't done a full NPS video, so if you'd like us to, put it in the comments below, but here's some pointers. If you have an NPS score of greater than 0, then it's generally good. If it's greater than 50, then it's great. And if you're greater than 60, you are world class. And you should start measuring this. So for example, in my coaching programs, we consistently collect NPS from our founders as we interact with them. And right now we have a score of 63, which is 63 is like world class. And we're continually trying to improve it and working to improve it to get better and better and better, but we're already at the world class level. What this tells us is that, okay, we're doing a good job, we're doing a great job, we're serving our founders, but it also helps us identify if a founder is ever like lower in the score, then we know, hey, they need some extra help, we need to address them. And if they're super high all the time, we still reach out to them and say, hey, thank you so much. If there's anything else you need, please let us know, because we know that person's gonna be referring other founders into the program. So we wanna give them attention, but in different ways. It helps us figure out how to give the attention in the right way depending on where they are. If you want to dig into NPS, but you're wondering like, okay, I know that my NPS is low or my churn is already terrible. What do I do about this? How do I improve this? You should check out this video. In this video, I go into how to run a QBR, quarterly business review, with your customers, regardless of where they are on the NPS score. But when you start putting this into play for your best customers, then you will actually be able to improve your NPS score and reduce churn. Now, you don't have to go right now. I'll link to it below. Let's recap so you get this full picture. Number 1, here are the pro metrics that you need to be tracking. Number 1, revenue per lead. It'll tell you the quality of the pipeline you are generating. Number 2, the LTV to CAC ratio. It'll tell you how efficient you are in your go-to-market machine. And depending on this score, I'll link to that video below, you can determine how much more to spend or how much less to spend in your go-to-market strategy, or how much to raise. Super important, you should check out that video. And number 3, you should be consistently measuring your NPS score. And based on that, you should be running quarterly business reviews to make sure your customers get what they need from you so you can continue to grow your ARR base. You follow these 3 metrics and you monitor these 3 metrics, you will be switching from just running any SaaS business to a high-performing, high-growth SaaS business, because you're looking at the right aggregate pieces and determining here's where we need to put our attention to improve things. And this is super, super, super powerful. So if you got value from this, smash that like button if you haven't already. Also, if you're in the stage where you're figuring out what are the right metrics, what's my strategy, every SaaS founder should have a 1-page strategy where they codify, here's my core strategy on how I'm gonna grow. You should have this. So this is why I created my 5-point SaaS growth strategy guide. It's completely free, and inside this guide, we collate the key areas of strategy you need to figure out, relevant videos you should watch, and how to codify and know 1-page strategy. It's completely free. Just go to getunstoppable.com/strategy. getunstoppable.com/strategy, and you'll get access to the guide for free. Also down below, I'll link to it. And also down below, I'll link to the key videos that I told you about in this video so you can dig more into these key metrics and really start to pull things together. If you got value from this video, please smash that like button. It means the world to us. My team and I put a lot of love into not only just crafting these videos, building them, editing them, but also distributing them so more and more founders can reach them. Also, if you have a fellow founder, if you have a part of a Slack group or a founder group or an email list where you can share this video so that other founders can also get value, it would mean the world to us, really would. We want to serve as many founders as possible. And lastly, also, we do videos like this 2 to 3 times a week. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. You'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. Lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode.